Hello everyone, this is Alex with the TimeKeeper development team to tell you about some changes we've made to the raw data reports in TimeKeeper coming in version 0.6.2. Now the raw data reports are those that you can get by going to the reports page in TimeKeeper, and they are a way for you to get data of your timesheets and your employees in a way that you can filter it and search it and even export it to use in other systems. So I'm going to start by talking about some of the new filters that we've added in the new version. We have the inactive employees filter, which defaults to off, and if you turn it on, we'll have the report include information for employees that are no longer active. So for example, if I run this report right now, you can see that there is no test user 1 in here because test user 1 is inactive. But if I come back to the page and I turn on this filter and I run it, test user 1 is back in here. Okay, there's also the my former employees filter, which will include employees who no longer report directly to you or who no longer report to someone who reports to you, so on and so forth. This would be someone, for example, who moved off to another cost center and no longer works directly for you. Obviously, we have the cost center filters and the employee filters, and a filter to select only employees who are assigned to certain projects if you're trying to get information on a certain project. We also have the inactive timesheets filter, and this is a bit of, it doesn't do a whole lot right now because we only deactivate timesheets if an employee is deactivated and their current timesheet doesn't have any time details on it. But this is something that we'll probably do a bit more of as we go down the road. Additionally, there is the projects filter, which specifies which projects that you want to get information on. So for example, if I only wanted information on absences, I could pick that and run this report. And I only get information about when absences were claimed. Okay. More importantly, we have the grouping options here. And that starts by deciding what is the time frame for grouping time details. So by default, it's on a weekly basis. So if two entries on the same timesheet but on a different day have all other information the same, those will be grouped together and treated as one row. If you change this to day, for example, the only time two entries would be grouped together is if they had the same information and were on the same timesheet and the same day. The other option we've added is the ability to sum by year. So if you're only interested in how hours were spent on something over the course of a year, you have that option. And then there's all selected time, which will not divide entries based on date at all and will strictly be determined by the date options you set in the date filter. Beyond that, we have the option to separate entries by project, which is on by default. And if you turn that off, all entries will be grouped together regardless of what project they're for and only separated on different notes or whether they had overtime or double time or which employee charged those hours or whether they were billable or non-billable, etc. And if you turn off the ability to separate by different projects, you don't get to choose whether it separates on activities, locations, or job classes because those would no longer have any effect. So let me show you some of these in action. I'm going to start by going for a normal report. This is what you would get if you just came in here and ran it straight out. And you can see I got a whole bunch of rows here separated by weekend date and what project and activity and all of that. Now let's say that I'm only interested in seeing the absences that my team has claimed, and maybe I'm only interested for this year. I don't care what week they claimed it. I just want to know from the start of the year till now who's claimed what. So I can go to the date filter and I'll say custom date starting from the beginning of this year through now. So I'll just leave that empty. And I want to sum by year because I don't want it to separate them out by which week they were claimed in. I won't separate locations or job classes because those aren't relevant for absences. I don't care about separating on different notes or whether they were overtime or double time or whether it was billable or not. And I only want information on the absences project. So again, I'll turn this projects filter back on with absences selected. And I'll go ahead and run this report. And now you can see who claimed what absences and how many over the course of the year. And if I'm interested in what week those are claimed, I could come back here to the grouping and change that to week and run this report. And now you can see what week hours were claimed and how many. Now this also applies for other projects too. So for example, if I'm interested in the TimeKeeper development project, for example, I can run that and I can see when hours were charged against this project, and you can see that it's broken down by activity. Maybe I'm not interested in which activity, I just want to know for each week of this year how many hours were charged against the project, so I can do that. And now you can see a running, actually I'll make this sorted. Now you can see from the beginning of the year all the way through the end of the year how many hours were charged against the project. So this is a work in progress, and we'll probably continue to add more options here to allow you to filter down your data more precisely and give you more ability to group it and separate it. If you have any suggestions of things we can add here, or have any questions about how you might be able to squeeze out a certain set of data, feel free to post on the Google community and we'll work with you to help you out. And if we can add filters or grouping options that make your life a little bit easier, we'd be happy to do that, because we don't just want a system that inputs all your data and holds it. We want to be able to give it to you in whatever shape you need so that it can make your life a little bit easier. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day.